The advice and opinions expressed by Dr. Granpeesheh and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice.
Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh is the
Dr. Doreen is an expert in autism.
Doreen Granpeesheh.
Dr. Granpeesheh.
Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh.
Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh is a visionary in the field of autism. Now you can ask her questions on Ask Dr. Doreen. Good morning and welcome to Ask Dr. Doreen.
Good morning.
Good morning to Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh. We're so thrilled to be here with you.
It's good to be here. I'm glad we made it in this flood.
I was just going to say it was a little crazy on my commute for a minute. We're downpour here in Los Angeles, and that's not our normal.
No, and nobody knows what to do when it rains like this in California.
It's very funny. But can I tell you, I didn't live in California when I was a kid, but my favorite song, my grandmother did at one point, and my favorite song was "It Doesn't Rain in Southern California, It Pours." That's what's happening this morning. Anyway, we are here with the fabulous Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh, who is a true expert in the field of autism. I believe the expert, and I have opportunity to hear lots of experts, but I'm always excited to come home to you.
Thank you so much.
It's just always a fun thing
You're
for
so
me.
kind.
She's been working in this field for well over 40 years. I hate telling on you because no one would have any idea that you've been in this field this long.
Oh,
You're wearing it well.
How about my oldest daughter is 30 now.
That's got to be a little bit mind blowing, right?
Great. That's great. Yeah.
Listen, I used to teach college, and I have students that are now in their 50s.
I know. Isn't that amazing?
And when I realized that, I was like,
I know.
You know,
and
that's...
I have kids who I treated many years ago who reach out to me, and they're like in their, I think my oldest would be about 40 now.
Yeah. Isn't that,
or more than 40. Yeah.
And that is mind blowing.
Yeah, it is.
To think. Anyway, so we digress. But you've been in this field working for how many years, and really have been a person who has been at the forefront of individuals and what they need. But also taking care of the people around that individual, the family needs. But you just have been an advocate for all of those people tirelessly.
I hope so.
You really have.
Thank you.
I was at the TACA conference this last weekend and talking to so many people, and I was thrilled that CARD had a booth there, and they had a big sign that said, "Ask us about medically enhanced ABA."
Great.
And boy, the conversations that we were having with people, they were so excited.
That's right.
And for families who'd been in this for a while, they were like, "Oh, it's because Dr. Granpeesheh, she has always been somebody who has been saying this, but she was kind of out there outstanding in her field alone." You know?
Oh yeah. Our field took a really long time to accept that there's a biology to every child. Yeah.
Yes, but they are accepting it now, and that is in no small part, in fact, largely because of things that you have done. You don't toot your horn about it, and I thought, I should be tooting your horn more about it. But you gave a grant, you did an endowment to make sure that there is a speaker at each and every ABA conference now that talks about those kinds of things.
And we have had some really amazing people speak. Yeah,
and it
every year.
is making a difference.
Yes.
I see that when I'm talking to BCBAs. They're much more interested and less afraid than they used to be.
I'm so glad. That's wonderful. You know who's coming? The coming ABA is Lonnie Zweigenbaum.
Oh,
amazing researcher.
Amazing. Well, and you made that happen, literally, because you did the endowment for it. So anyway, we are here, you guys. We're live right now. Today is a very rainy, what is it? Is it the 13th?
I think it's the 15th.
I don't think it's the 15th.
14th.
It's the 14th.
Right in the middle.
There we go. We're somewhere between, but it's the 14th of October. We're getting ready for the All Ghouls Gala. We are really kicking it in high gear right now, getting ready. That's happening on the 25th. This benefits an amazing charity that you also started, Autism Care Today. You want to take just a second and tell them what Autism Care Today ACT, we call it, what it does?
Sure. When we started it, and I'm not actually sure if there are any other organizations right now, charities who fund only family services. And when we started it, I know we were unique in that sense because there were a lot of charities that funded research but we only fund services and treatments and equipment, I should say. So the funds are up to $5,000 per family, and we really mainly fund things like iPads for kids who need them for communication, fencing around the house for safety, other safety equipment if necessary. Let's see, what other things? Oh, co-pays for ABA therapies, payments for labs, medical labs, anything that would really be useful, I would say, for a $5,000 grant. And a person can apply twice, 2 different grant cycles, and get more. But each time we try to share what we've raised. And All Ghouls Gala is our main fundraising event in the year, and we are very, very hopeful that you all will help us raise funds. We all volunteer, so there's really no paid staff for ACT right now, and we're just volunteering our time. And this is a very fun event. It's, of course, is costume Halloween, and we expect somewhere between 300 and 400 people. There's entertainment, there's live music, there's a DJ, there's live music, there's open bar, and lots of very, very good food, costume contests, all kinds of good stuff. So if you're in the Los Angeles area, please buy a ticket and come. And if you're not, please maybe buy a ticket for someone else who is, or donate.
Yeah, we've got a short video we want to show you, and they're literally, when you go to the page, you can buy a ticket for yourself, but it says, would you like to buy a ticket for someone in the autism community, and you can donate that ticket for them. And I do have a list of people who have said, if you get a ticket, I would love to come. So there's where you need to go. It's a very kind of a long thing, but act-today.org/all-ghouls-gala. But Chris has a video that he himself has put together that we're going to show. Then we'll come back and we'll tell you all the places that you could be watching us and commenting. And we'll get started with today's topic, which is treating autism based on individual needs. But obviously we will take other questions. And I have a question written in from a dad that I specifically said we would cover today.
Great.
So take a look at this and we'll be right back.
1 in 31 children in America have an autism spectrum disorder diagnosis. Early and intense therapies have been proven to be effective, yet most children go without due to financial restraints. Autism Care Today fills a necessary gap by providing assistance for these children today to ensure they have a better tomorrow. Since 2005, Autism Care Today has distributed more than $2 million in grants to families with autism. Areas of support include co-pays for necessary therapies, biomedical testing, assistive technologies such as an iPad, safety equipment such as fencing, social skills groups, and many more. This year, ACT Today's annual fundraising event, All Ghouls Gala, will take place on the 25th of October in Woodland Hills. There will be food, drinks, dancing, and a silent auction. Don't miss out on this opportunity to support a wonderful organization. Scan the QR code to get tickets to the All Ghouls Gala and join us in making a difference in the life of a child with autism.
There you go. A great reason to donate, but also a great party. You saw just a couple of clips of an actual party. It's a really good time. Anybody who's been will tell you it really is the party of the season.
It's a lot of fun.
So absolutely love it. I also want to say that at the party, we give an award called the Lending Your Voice Award.
Yes.
And that's meant to go to a person or an entity or an organization that has really made it possible for more people in the world to understand individuals on the spectrum and what they have going on. So we have 2 honorees this year that we're really proud of. One is Chelsea Darnell, and Chelsea's been on the show many times. She's a young woman who is a mover and a shaker. I get emotional because she was so young when she started doing things, but one of the first notable things that she did, she's an actress and a voiceover actress and was doing that, but during the pandemic, she started a social club called Movie Chat at the Ed Asner Family Center. And for a lot of adults, it was their only social interaction. It was online. They would assign a movie or two earlier in the week, and then they would get together during the time to talk about it. And it became a springboard to talk about anything. She was able, during the pandemic, to get all kinds of celebrities to come that were in the movies to chat with them. And it was free during the pandemic, and it's still going. She has turned that over to somebody else because she's now the social skills director at the Ed Asner Family Center, but she's also one of the associate casting directors at Love on the Spectrum. And Chelsea has also made videos. She made a video this last year that really went viral and got the attention of the world. And it was just about people on the spectrum talking about what they love. What's their thing that they really love? And it was just a beautiful video. So we're honoring Chelsea, which is a wonderful thing. But then we are also honoring the show, the entire show, Love on the Spectrum. Because I can't think of anything else in recent years that has really drawn attention to adults on the spectrum in the way that this has. When you see Brad Pitt tweeting about watching Love on the Spectrum and rooting for some of these young people, you know, and so we're going to have many of the cast of Love on the Spectrum there, and they'll get awards, and that will be a wonderful thing.
Right, and I think I love that show so much because it captures kind of the pureness of individuals who have autism, right? And it's just so nobody. I don't know a single person who's watched that series and hasn't said, "Oh my God, they're so lovable," and that's a good thing.
Yes,
you
it
know,
is.
we need more people to love our folks. Yeah.
You just are rooting for them. You want them
You're
to
just
find
rooting
love.
for them,
You want them to be successful, and that's a very important message to put out into the world.
Absolutely. It helps people understand also the struggles they have and how they cope and how they go through, and the fact that they want all the same things everybody does.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't know whether it was this last season or the one before, where one of the girls goes on a date, and the young man that she's going on the date with is having a really hard sensory time, so he's got the earphones on, and he's got his head down on the table, and she tries to get him, and he cannot. And then afterwards they do the interview with him, and he's in a much sensory friendlier place, and he's able to take and he goes, I don't think it went well. And I don't know, my heart was just beating out of my chest. I just wanted to hug her for trying.
Yeah.
I wanted to hug him for all the things that he had to deal with.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many moments like that. So anyway, there'll be a lot of the cast there joining us. We have a lot of celebs that have committed to coming, and it's a very fun thing. And we have some surprises even for you, I hope. So yes, so I'm very excited about it. Please get your tickets now. Okay. I was starting to say before, and then I got sidetracked talking about, but we're live right now. You can be talking with us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. I want you to know that we love doing the show live because it gives us the opportunity to interact with you guys. And that's isn't that what we love the most?
Right,
both of us?
absolutely, yes.
So really fun if you write in and ask questions. We're monitoring, and hopefully we'll see your comments and questions. But we know that the lion's share of you are not able to watch us live. You've got other places that you need to be, and you need to hear it at 2:00 in the morning if that's when you're wanting to. So this show does podcast, audio only. Any place you get your podcast, it's a free download, and we're very proud of that. There's more than 14 years worth of episodes for you to find either on YouTube for picture and sound or on any of the podcasting platforms. Now, it will come with ads. That's just, we're all adults here, and we understand that it costs money to download something, even though we call it a free download. So to defray that cost, there are ads, and we hope that you embrace that and go, woohoo, they paid, so I don't have to. But if that is not convenient for you, for those of you who are like, no, I'm on the treadmill, I want to stay in the groove, you absolutely can get it ad-free for just $5 a month. In fact, that covers everything that we do here. Ask Dr. Doreen Autism Live. You just go to glow.fm/autism live, and you will be able to $5 a month, and everything that we do that's new shows up in your inbox. You don't have to download anything, and you can listen to it ad-free. So I know for some of you that's a lifesaver. All right, but we'd love to hear your questions. You can also write in to me. My email is shannon@autism-live.com. And I do have a question written in by somebody, but I'm going to start with our topic, which is treating autism based on individual needs. there's a lot of, I don't know whether it's just the way insurance works and the way schools work, but I find myself talking to a lot of parents. This was certainly true at the TACA conference, where they think it's just a program that fits everybody. And I think that some people are doing it that way, which is wrong. But so we've had a lot of questions lately. I'm going to start with one. I get so frustrated. It is called an IEP because it is an individualized plan. My son's ABA treatment is supposed to be based on his needs, and yet I keep running into all of these prefab programs. Even the forms surrounding these things seem to be based on some middle-of-the-road kid. That is not my kid. And every time I ask for something different, I'm told that's not how we do things. If it is truly supposed to be about my kid, shouldn't everything be possible? My latest issue is that my son just struggles in the morning, and so we are late to school pretty much every day. They are threatening me with truancy. I have asked if we could just start his day later. No, we don't do that. Why not? And believe me, we have tried everything. He just struggles in the morning. Give him until 10:30 and he's a different kid. So what would you like to say about that?
Yeah, so I mean, I completely understand the struggle that parents have when people are not willing to be flexible and open-minded. I get that, because sometimes our kids do need some, it's supposed to be adapted for them, right? Individualized for them. But at the same time, I kind of feel like maybe there are things you can do that where your son will actually be able to manage. And I just want to throw those out there, and forgive me if no, that's not the case, and your child really does need that extra time. I understand that, of course, but maybe you can try these things. So one thing is, what can we do to start a little bit earlier? I don't know when he sleeps. I'm not sure when he wakes up. Is it possible to sleep a little bit earlier, wake up a little bit earlier so that you have a little bit more time in the morning? That's first thing. Second thing is, there are a lot of things, like figure out exactly what the issue is in the morning. Like a lot of times our kids, it's one thing if the child just needs a longer period of time, let's say for each activity. Some kids are just very slow in the morning, and that's understandable. But if it's things like, he has a hard time wearing the clothes he's supposed to, what can we do to help accelerate that? Can we give him a picture schedule? Can we lay out the stuff the day before? Can we practice it more? Can we do certain things to get those activities to be a little bit more fluent and faster? Because remember, despite being annoyed or frustrated, I should say, with the school, which I completely understand, you're not the only person. Like, let me tell you, most parents have these frustrations. But that aside, your goal should always be to see what you can do to teach him the things that help him fit in, as opposed to what can they do to accommodate. And I know that doesn't sound fair, but the truth is everyone kind of learns a lot of different things in order to fit into the schedule of society, the norms of society, the rules of society. It is all kids do, right? All kids have to wear the clothes, take their books, get in the bus at the right time, etc. And it's just harder for our kids. Yeah. So if we make accommodations, we should only really make them when everything else has been tried, when our child just cannot fit in. And I say that with complete respect for your child, but because I want your child to fit in, because I want all of our kids to be part of society. And that is always going to be my goal. It's like, I just want our kids to fit into society and not have to have exceptions and adaptations made for them.
Yeah, it's a hard, like I swing on both sides of the pendulum. I want to stop and say, we're saying hi to Bug Hot Wheels.
Okay.
Love that. And hi to Rodney. Rodney, we're so thrilled to have you with us this morning. But, as a parent, and as a former teacher, I swing both sides of this pendulum.
Yes.
And I know people write in all the time and say, why do our kids have to fit in? Why don't these kids try to meet them at least part of the way?
Right,
And I
right.
completely agree with that. But how's that working for us?
Right.
Right? And you know, I have been the person who saw my son when he was like 10 years old laying in a friend's, in her
Yeah.
foyer area, flat out laying, sobbing, saying, what do I have to do to get those kids to play, with me?
Yeah.
And he was at the point where he had enough language that he could say that that's what was
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah.
Right? Years before, he just would have been tantruming and I wouldn't have known that that's what it was. And as a parent, you know, your heart goes, ugh.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to go in and say to those kids, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, play with him.
Yep.
And I did go to my friends and say, you need to talk to your child and get them. And they were like, well, I don't know what to do.
Well, yeah, I mean,
You know?
and they're kids too, right? I mean,
Right.
like there are other kids, and it's very hard. And I think like I said, I think our goal should always be, let's teach as much as we can, and then when we've come as far as we can, then we expect society to kind of adapt.
Well, and after all that happened on that particular day, I remember coming back to our team and saying, we got to goose things up here a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
You teach me, what do I need to teach him so that
Right.
he can try, you know, 10 different
Right.
things or say something else, because I'm just
This
being
isn't
real, you
working
guys.
for him.
And I'm just being real. If we have the expectation that somebody else is going to come and do it, and I'm never going to give up on that. I'm never going to give up. I say all the time that our mission here is to provide information and inspiration to individuals on the spectrum and everybody that loves them. And someday I hope that's the whole world,
Yes.
right? But it isn't right now. And if I just have the expectation of I'm going to sit here and wait for them to all love my child, that's not going to be what's best for my child.
Right. Right.
And in the meantime, you know, yes, do I want to get the world ready for him? 100%, of course. But I also have a responsibility, I feel like, as a parent, to get him ready for the world.
Absolutely.
For the things that he individually wants.
Right.
There's
right.
some things he doesn't care about and that he doesn't want and that aren't meaningful to him.
Right.
Do you know? But there are other things that are meaningful to him.
Yes, absolutely.
And so, but it's hard. It's hard to hear, oh, we have to make our kids fit in.
right.
It is hard.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to acknowledge that. But we also want our kids, we want them to grow. We want them to learn. And I said this to a parent this weekend. My philosophy was always, I pictured my son running on this track with other kids, but there were more hurdles in his lane than there were in other kids.
Absolutely.
And that I just wanted to find which of those hurdles could I take out?
Yeah.
And which hurdles can I help him to be strong enough to get over when I'm not here?
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
But it's hard. It's emotional. It's hard.
It's very hard.
But having said that, it is supposed to be an IEP. It is supposed
Yes.
to be an individualized
Yes.
approach. But I think what I'm hearing you say is pick your battles.
I'm saying pick your battles, but I'm also saying, I guess there's a part of me that always wants us to expect more from our kids. And it's I don't know how to, like, so as parents, we tend to just have this, obviously, it's like an innate thing where we want to take care of our child, right? And we as parents, we
Yes.
want to take care of our children, obviously. And when I see parents who are doing everything they can to take care of their children, I love it. And I'm so just in awe of how loving they are. But at the same time, I see that it is taking away the child's ability to do more. I don't know how to say that.
We're getting in their way.
You're getting in their way in a very inadvertent way, right? And you're not intending to get
Right.
in their
We mean
way.
well.
But like I just see so often, I've seen this for years and years, our kids can do so much more.
Yeah.
And that's why whenever any parent says to me, it starts with, my child just can't,
Yeah.
I always ask like, are you sure? Have we done everything we can to teach them
Yeah.
that thing? And so for me, accommodation and individualized has more to do with the teaching technique than it does with changing the world. It's hard to
Right.
explain that. So because Like, let's say, you know, an example of that would be like, can a child actually get, you know, select their clothing that's appropriate to the weather?
Right.
Well, obviously, when a child starts out, they're not able to do that. But a lot of typically developing kids aren't able to do that either, and they learn it.
Yeah.
And sometimes with our kids, we just think they can't learn it, so we never go all out to teach it.
Yes.
Or we don't know the right techniques to teach it.
Yes.
And we give up because the usual techniques don't work, you know? So there's like, so accommodation and individualization, I think if we can take those concepts and apply it to how we teach, how we prompt, how we model, how we reward, all of that, and get our child to the point where they master those skills, it's better for our child
Yeah.
than it is for the environment to modify to meet where our child is now. So I kind of feel like what I'm saying is, if this is where we're supposed to meet, why not let's try to push our child past that, because the next environment they're in, the next piece of the world when outside of school, when you're not
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
they're going to get closer to being able to join that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
do.
that's kind of where I'm coming from.
And I've had I've been the beneficiary of you calling me out sometimes.
Pushing.
And saying to me, you know,
You know, he can do
Jim,
that.
He can do that.
Yeah.
And I also had Temple Grandin doing that too, and saying, you know, I wasn't letting him go to the men's room on his own. And we were in a restaurant, and Temple Grandin was like, that stops right here. And she gave him instructions, and she's like, you go to the men's room, and it was hilarious. I wish we'd videotaped that. But it's hard. Sometimes we don't notice that we're doing it. I know that's true of me, that there are times when I think that my whole job is to make things easier for him, which is not my job.
Yes. And you have been trained to protect him.
Yeah, of course.
And being able to go the other way and let him go free is just the opposite
It's
of what
hard.
you've been taught. Yeah.
It's hard.
It's very hard.
Because I was doing pottery there for a really long time, and one of the things I learned with the pottery is that you start with your hands very firmly on the clay, but you have to take your hands off very slowly, or
There
it
you
goes
go.
cattywampus.
There you
And I
go.
kept saying, that's what parenting is, taking your hands very slowly
Absolutely.
off the clay. I'm not good at it. I'm working it. Anyway, okay, I want to get to what this parent had written in, and it's kind of long. I recently watched your video about a 13-year-old putting foreign objects in his ear. My son has the same problem. The ENT doctor said he has no ear infection or allergies. I tried using headphones and a soft helmet to cover his ears, but he still managed to put the object in his ear. We keep going to the hospital. He needs to be sedated to have the objects removed. If you have any other ideas, please let me know. Well, we wrote back several times. And one of the things that he identified is he's only putting it in the right ear. And I asked a bunch of questions, but they said that he said they've examined his ear in the OR, said that there's no signs of infections or allergies. I think he's doing it on the right side since he's right-handed. It looks like a lot of children with autism have these issues, and there's no great solutions, according to the ENT doctor. The ENT doctor said, it's autism, and this is what they do, which I really hate. Again, said that there was no sign of infection. And they live in New Mexico, but other than that, I'm not going to identify them. Any ideas?
You know, putting objects in your ear is not extremely common, but it does happen. I have had kids do that. The only thing I could think of at this point, if you've had a full check and you're sure that there's no infection or allergy, is that he's trying to modify the sound that's coming in, right? So in other words, I don't know if he's had an audiogram, if you have looked to see how these objects are modifying. I mean, think about it. The object that we put in our ears
Q-tips.
or Q-tips or plugs, earplugs, right?
Yes,
We
yes,
put
yes,
in
yes.
plugs in order to change sound that's coming in.
Yeah, yeah.
So if it's not something like irritability or itching or so on and so forth, then possibly he's doing that in order to modify the sound that is coming in, the way he's hearing. So my first question would be, have you tested his hearing? Is it equal on the right side to the left side? Check his hearing. If he's just trying to figure out the cause of this, right? Like, why is he doing this? Now, because once you find out the cause of it, there's a possibility that we can actually give him some other solution.
Yeah.
So he doesn't, like, maybe you give him an earplug, which is something he can put in his ear, but it can also be removed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that would be my number one thing is, hey, he needs to have something in his ear, make sure it's something that can easily be removed.
Yeah.
As opposed to small objects that go all the way in. You know
Right.
what I mean? So that's one thing. The second thing is just teaching him that like to not put small objects in his ears. And I think, as I said, the easiest way to do that is to teach to replace it with something that is actually appropriate to be put in the ear, like those earplugs or even earbuds, if you know. And that's actually kind of a cool thing if you could do that. I just thought about that. If he likes music, it would be good. So what you do is you replace, right? So you block him putting the small object. And I want to back up for a minute. So a lot of times parents think that things can be taught on the go.
Yeah.
And that's not the case. Like, we don't teach things as it's happening. You teach things, you practice things, right? You teach them in a way where the child learns before it's actually happening in real life. So you have to set a time every day or a few times every day where you practice this. And what you will be practicing is you will place all the objects that he tends to put in his ear, and you will prevent him from taking those. Let him go for it, but then take it away and replace it with a very benign thing like those, what are those plastic earplugs, right? Or earbuds, which would be very cool because then he can hear music, which in itself is reinforcing. So you're kind of taking something away and giving him something else that's even more fun. But I think the best way to do this is obviously blocking and replacing.
Yeah.
And that's a very different issue than why is it happening.
Yeah.
What you've been seeking, why is it happening, and we still don't know.
Right.
But nevertheless, we do need to stop him putting things in his ear that are not supposed to go in the ear.
Yeah.
So let's stop that and replace it with something that potentially is harmless, that he could do that is harmless.
I love that. There's a new line of, there's actually 4 different types of these new earplugs that are designed for people who have sensory issues.
There you go. Yeah.
And like one of them is called Comms. There's another one that's called Flare. I don't know what they're all called, but they all have some sort of a tube with packing around it, and it's meant to give you the opportunity to continue hearing, but it deadens a certain decibel.
There you go. Wow.
And
amazing.
We've featured them the last couple of years, different ones in the toy guide, and they're very, I know people who like one as opposed to the other. I know I bought 2 of them to see what my son and I would both, he didn't care for either one of them, but he's not as sound sensitive as I am.
Right.
But I've taken them when I've gone to big things before to help me sort of mitigate. I wish I'd had them at the Tonka thing.
I mean, there are so many kids that have sound sensitivity, and people, I guess it's a harder thing to recognize when your child has sound sensitivity, but that is a very common thing.
Yeah. Well, let us know try that and let us know what happens. But I love the fact that you're letting him choose it. One of the things that I didn't read that Dad said, he won't let Dad put anything in his ears.
Oh, yeah.
But if you give him, and say, put something in your ear, perhaps he will. And then let's see what happens. Okay. Somebody else had written in and said, I've heard about subtypes of autism. I would love to know how that is changing how kids are being treated.
I wish that kids were being treated based on their subtype. That would be a fantastic thing. So let's talk about this. This will take a little while to talk about. So as part of the diagnosis of autism, you are supposed to do 2 things. You're supposed to identify severity levels in the 2 domains. So there are two sections that define autism. One is the social communication, and one is the sort of repetitive stereotypic behaviors. And so there's a severity associated with each one. So 1 to 3, 1 being the least severe and 3 being the most severe in each domain. So if you say an individual is a 1-1 severity, that means they're minimally affected in the area of social communication and in the area of repetitive stereotypical behaviors. If you say an individual is a 1-3, that means their difficulties in social communication are minimal, but they do need a lot of support in stereotypical repetitive sensory types of behaviors. Okay, so severity in itself differentiates our kids into 9 phenotypes, right? So it's 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, 2-2, 2-1, 2-3, 3-3, 3, you know, so there's 9 phenotypes just based on the severities. That's very, very important, and I'm pretty upset when a physician or someone diagnoses a child with one severity number, because a child who is 1-3 is extremely different from a child who is 3-1. Extremely different.
Yeah.
So it's very important to get that right. That's the severity. Then there's other specifiers that we are supposed to identify when you diagnose, and there are things like with language disorder. So the individual has a lot of language issues. With intellectual disability, that means the individual's IQ is affected. With motor disability, other types of things that could possibly be going on with the child. A lot of diagnosticians leave those types of things out, and it's very important for them to try to actually put those types of specifiers in, because they help to identify the child. So assuming you have all of that, those are the ones that are identified in diagnosis. Okay, so let's say you have the severity and you have the specifiers. That already tells you a little bit about the individual, right? It tells you where they are in the social domain. It tells you where they are in terms of repetitive, ritualistic types of behaviors, and it tells you where they are when it comes to their, like, let's say, intellectual issues or their language or so on and so forth. So that's good. Then there are a whole bunch of, I guess, phenotypes that are not really defined, but we see them in practice. So there are kids who are definitely visual learners. Like, they really don't understand vocal language very well, but they have kind of figured out the world on visual cues. So with those children, obviously, it becomes very important to give them more visual instruction, because that is how they receive information from the world. So that's kind of one phenotype. There are children who have incredible photographic memories. And if you can identify those children, then obviously you use that in their treatment or in their intervention. So there's lots of different kind of phenotypes that people it hasn't been identified in the diagnostic manuals or anything, but you see those when you start working with a child, and you're like, oh, this is this type of child, and you need to teach them this way. So, but unfortunately, a lot of people in treatment or who provide treatment providers don't do any of this. They don't pay attention to the diagnosis. They don't pay attention to the severity, the specifiers. They don't pay attention to the learning abilities or skills of the child. They just do a cookbook approach, which is one of the things we started talking about. And that is a big problem, because for some children, a cookbook approach just doesn't work. For some children, they get frustrated and they give up very quickly. For some children, they are just, they get bored. For some children, it's too hard. There has to be modifications that are not being made. Imagine if you can't understand vocal instruction and someone is just telling you what to do. It sounds like blah, 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 right? You don't know what they're saying. So it just becomes aversive. It's very, those are the things I was talking about earlier, Shannon, when I was saying the portion about an individualized has to do with how you teach. And really how all of that has to do with the child, right?
Yes.
Their phenotype.
Yes. But that takes a little bit of time
Oh, yeah.
and effort, and it requires people to actually
Absolutely.
look at the child. And I see that some people are just trying to streamline,
Yes.
right? And we live in a world where people are trying to streamline everything. So it kind of goes hand in hand with the next question that people, and I think you'll love this question. I would love to know if the doctor thinks that AI is improving autism treatment or making it more cookie cutter and less individual.
Oh, that's such a good question. So, there's so many different sides to AI, and I'm trying to make sure I answer all of it. So if artificial intelligence is used correctly, it is going to be individualizing things. And it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's not something to be scared of. If it is not used in all the ways that it is meant to be used, it might cookie cutter things. So I want to kind of talk about that. So one application of AI, and I'm heavily getting into AI. In fact, right after this, I have my weekly AI class. I don't know if you knew that. But one of the things about artificial intelligence, one of the capabilities it has is that it makes things more efficient. The way that it does that is that it takes all the rules of anything, of any process, and it just automates them. So it's kind of like every time somebody says this is the standard answer. So if you just stop there, then it's becoming very cookie cutter, right? If someone takes an AI algorithm and applies it to, let's say, some aspect of ABA intervention and just stops there, then yeah, it's very cookie cutter. But the second amazing thing that AI is able to do is that it learns about the individual. Over time, it learns that, oh, this person has their own quirks, this person has their own abilities, their own disabilities, their own etc. And then it takes those procedures and processes and workflows and modifies them. So all in all, I would say AI absolutely has the ability to individualize things better. I am really, really interested in AI. I'm very, very interested in, I was reading the other day, one of the applications, something I want to talk to Chris about actually, is that I want to build a bot, and people are starting to do this, like a chat bot. ChatGPT is kind of like a bot, right? It's someone that we talk to and we ask questions of and so on. And so I want to see if, and to some extent, a lot of people have said that, these open AI algorithms like ChatGPT can be a friend. And I really want to see if it's possible to build a bot that can have an interaction with a child and start to teach them things. And I want to see how far we can go with that. Yeah, and if no one better than Chris.
Yeah,
He plays with that all the time.
He's a whiz. Yes, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
I can remember my son was really into robots. And there was a toy robot that was wildly expensive that was at one of the places in the mall, but it wasn't for sale. It was that expensive, And he kept trying to make the robot go. And we had one of our BTs with us. And there was a moment when we both kind of had this epiphany that if he had to make, because when Peter used to come to our house and try to get Jem to make eye contact, Peter would, they would play swords. And Peter would do the sword thing and then he would freeze. And it wouldn't be until Jem's eyes would cross his that would be the on button. And we were saying, wouldn't it be great if there was a robot that only turned on for him when he made eye contact? Because he would have that, he would be working on that in a way that was very naturalistic, but he would have a instant reward for it, like what Peter was doing.
Yeah, and those types of things. It's funny. So this is an amazing example you're giving right now, Shannon, because literally, if you take a chatbot, the type, the ones that like Chris plays around with, right? And if you tell the algorithm, don't respond unless you are being looked at, and if there was a receiver that could receive that, which those receivers obviously exist today.
Oh yeah.
Then you already have what you're talking about.
Right. And in his case, that would have been really, really helpful.
Oh, amazing.
And something for him, to work on a skill that, it's not the be all end all,
Yeah.
but it is, a skill that he now tells me is very useful to him, that he can use it when he wants to.
Yes.
Right? He is at the
yes.
point where he can say to me, I know this person requires a lot of eye contact to feel like I care about them.
Yeah.
So it's a choice for him now, which I really, really appreciate. We only have a few more minutes, and obviously there was some big news in the weekend, this weekend, about the Department of Education losing a lot of people in the special education. And it's our first time being back on the air, and I wondered if, you and I could just talk about it for a second, because I had so many conversations in the last week with parents who are struggling. It's the fall IEP season right now, and across the board, the things that we're hearing and seeing are a little bit troubling. We're seeing families that they have 3, 4, and 5-year-olds that they're being told your child doesn't need an IEP, and they can go right into, these are nonverbal children.
Oh, wow.
And they're being told, well, let's start them in gen ed and see if it's a problem. And I just wanted to take a moment and say to people that the directive has been very clear thus far, and I'm seeing what the fallout is among my friends who are teachers, and I'm seeing it with the parents, that the directive, the Secretary of Education had said earlier this year with the initial budget cuts, that children with IEPs, because she was asked specifically about that, and she was very clear. She said, children with existing IEPs, we will follow the letter of the law with existing IEPs. So what we're seeing is schools' response to that,
Yes.
because they know they don't have the money for that, is that they're refusing new kids with IEPs, even though that's illegal, and that they are really cutting back. Even for the longest time, people were offering OT and speech at schools because it was easy and they had the person on staff and they could do it. They're cutting that. And they are really cutting back on absolutely anything that they can. And so my message to parents is be aware. And now with these new cuts, we don't know yet what that's going to shake down to be, but it's, we have seen that a lot of the funding for people to support you with your IEP have already been cut. So to me, the signal is for parents, you just have to be more aware. Don't give up. Don't sign off on anything in an IEP that you're not willing to give up, because you'll have to fight to get it back.
Yeah.
So if you have to leave the IEP unsigned, there's a place where you can sign attendance. There's a place in the IEP where you can agree to all these parts, but not this. You can ask for a stay put while you seek legal help. And a stay put means that your child gets everything that is in the IEP until it's decided.
Yeah.
But for parents whose kiddos don't yet have an IEP and they're just starting the school system and they're telling them, your child, we don't have an IEP for your child.
Yeah.
It's a much harder thing.
Yeah, it is very, very difficult. And I think along with that, Shannon, is that parents also, there's still a lot of parents who don't realize that they should depend somewhat also on healthcare. Like, I think that parents, as parents, we think our kids get to a certain age and then the rest of whatever they need to learn should be part of their education system. And unfortunately, that's not the case here. And there is a lot of the funding for the help that your child needs should really also be part of your health insurance. And there's a lot of people who don't realize that there is that funding, honestly, whether it's through commercial health insurance or through Medicaid, that funding also does exist. And so when your school comes short, not that I'm obviously you should also fight and try to keep your IEP and get the things that you want in your IEP. But the harder that gets, don't forget you also have some support on your health insurance side.
It's a great point, and it leads me to say there's a whole other part of this that we really should talk about. that legally the school has to offer your child a program starting at 3 if they have been discovered to have a diagnosis.
Right.
But what parents don't seem to know is that that's completely optional, that you are not required to take that program at all.
Right.
And especially in the state that I'm hearing these programs are in with very little funding, especially, as a former teacher and as a parent, but I want to hear from you, but I always say to parents, does your child have the ability to communicate and advocate for themselves? And do they have basic social skills? And if the answer is on either of those things, if your child is not yet 6, I'm saying no. Don't put your child in school right now.
Yeah.
If you have the option to be doing a good quality ABA program, that's where I believe your child needs to be, and that's someone who's been in the classroom. But for you as a doctor and a clinician looking at kids, what criteria do you have about when a child's ready to start school?
Oh, well, I mean, I'll be honest, my criteria are total opposite of where things go. Like, I really strongly feel you should be doing as much ABA as you can before you even engage with school. So like whether your child's, definitely not at 3.
Yeah.
I would be looking more like 6, as you said, like when you kind of start to deal with mandates and so on. I wouldn't, because the way I look at it is that ABA it's one-to-one, and it's teaching your child everything they need. And school is at best 1 to 20, 1 to 30 in some cases. And it is not teaching your child everything your child needs. It's teaching a curriculum that is meant for everyone. So the core, I guess the real stuff that your child learns in school is going to be tiny in contrast to what they can learn when someone is teaching them one-to-one all the things they need. Like, it's just black and white to me. So what I always used to tell parents is use those early years as best as you can. Let's teach your child everything your child can learn in the first 5 to 6 years, right? And then gradually let's integrate into school, and let's start gradually taking those things and teaching your child how to use them in school. And, it's a very gradual process. So that's kind of, for me, how it should be.
Yeah.
But I mean, things have changed so much, Anna. Like, that barely ever happens anymore.
Well, because the school is so convincing.
Yeah.
And they say to the parents, no, you need to come here. And they make you feel like you're a bad parent if you say no.
Yep.
And that was always happening. That was always happening, you guys. But it continues to happen, and it is not lightened up in any way, shape, or form. For them, that is funding that they would not have gotten otherwise if your child is going there from 3, 4, and 5. And they have the capacity to take as many children as they can possibly take. If they need to add trailers, they'll add them. So it's just a money maker for them. I hate to be that way about it, because I think there are some good people in the schools who, once the child comes to them, they want to educate them. But you ask any educator of a preschool program, and they will tell you, I don't really know what to do with kids on the spectrum. They will tell you that. They don't.
Yeah.
Right? They're good people, but they've not had any training. They don't have support. And I always say to parents now, it's like somebody is offering you a 92 Ford Pinto, right? Or somebody's offering you a Lexus with all the bells and whistles.
Yes.
And you get to choose up until your child's 6th birthday. You're not answerable to anybody.
Right.
You get to choose whatever you want. Do you want the 94 Pinto with all the miles on it?
Right.
That's the wheels are falling off? Or do you want to put your child in the Lexus with all the bells and wheels?
Yeah.
It's up to you.
And you know what a lot of parents will say to me is that I'm afraid that my child will be isolated and that they won't get socialized if they don't go to school. And what I say to them is, so if your child has inadequate language, so that's either no language or some language, just not the same as peers, etc., and if you throw them in the middle of a group of other kids, what makes you think that they will just jump in and be fully successful as opposed to feeling even more isolated and not being able to mingle because they can't keep up? They can't understand. So the goal of doing a lot of initial one-to-one ABA is really to teach them all those things so that when they are integrated, they're able to really take advantage of that social environment better.
Yeah. I want us to make sure we say, thank you, Chris, for reminding me. We're saying hello to Helen. Helen, we're so thrilled that you're with us. And Mike, Riding with Mike, we're so glad that you're here with us as well. It is a very, the other thing that, since we're talking about it, is when your child is age 6 and they have to be registered to go to school.
Right.
Now you get to choose, do you want to go to private school? Do you want to homeschool? Do you want to go to public school?
That's true.
Whatever you want to do, you get to choose, but they have to be registered at the local school. But your child, it is written, I've been sharing the law with everybody this last week. The law states very clearly that your child has to go to school. We've already mentioned the word truancy in this program. And if your child doesn't come to school, you're eligible for truancy, and that is punishable by prison time and fines for the parent. And parents and school will, really get in your head, and parents go, well, I can't take them out of school to do ABA. But if you look very closely at the law, it says that your child can be excused without penalty for, and it lists a bunch of things. Now, it used to say for medically necessary appointments. And then we had a bunch of schools who said, well, ABA doesn't qualify for a medically necessary appointment. And I don't know who it was in Sacramento who said, well, let's make it clear so that we don't have to be dealing with this. And they wrote in specifically for behavioral health.
Great.
It specifically says that now. And yet there's one lady, I hope she's watching, in a school in the mid-valley of California that is making it her business to make everybody's life miserable and saying, we don't do that at our school district. We've shown her the code. She says, we don't do that here. And so the Department of Education has your number now. And we're not giving up, because I don't know how you could say, this is state law, but our school district is going to, but they're putting pressure on parents and telling them, no, the police are going to come and say that you're truant and you're going to get fined. And my friends, we have the law. It states very clearly you can take your child out for as many ABA appointments as you want to take them out.
That makes me think, Shannon, that if you remind me, please, because I should really send that segment of the law to a lot of our parents, because a lot of our parents really struggle with just taking their child out for even one session a month.
Because school will give them grief.
Yeah.
We've been sending it to the OMs, our office managers, so that they can share it with parents. But yes, we can send it out to the parents as well, because it, and the Department of Education, we've had conversations with them. And if parents, I can't formally make the complaint on behalf of the parent, but if you have somebody doing that to you, call the Department of Education. They're standing by waiting for your call. Well, I don't know. They might have been cut over the weekend. I don't know, but you should still call them. It is the law, and tell them, this is what my school is saying, and they have said, oh, we're prepared to talk to these schools and tell them which way is which. So anyway, we stand, we fight, we do what we can on any given day, and I will say to you, when there's a will, there's a way.
Absolutely, it's just very hard. Parents are already fighting so many different fronts.
Yes. I would say land war in Asia.
Yeah.
It is. But I also come to you from a place of having survived it, and I tell you it's worth it. It's just so worth it. All right, well, we're really out of time here, but I wanted to take just a second to thank you.
Thank you so much. Always lovely to be here.
It's always exciting for me.
Thank you.
You're such a brilliant mind.
Thank you so much.
And such a good person.
Oh, thank you. And you too, Jen.
Well, I don't know
there we
about
go.
that.
Our love
I
fest
think sometimes
continue.
I'm a fussy person. But all for the good cause. I wanted to let you guys know that tomorrow we're back live, and we have Megan Dolan, who's going to be with us tomorrow. She is a mom who has a one-woman show.
Nice.
It was called Lemur Mom, and I got to see it pre-pandemic. She's weathered the pandemic, has come back, has renamed the show, and so we're going to hear what the new name is. And she's back touring, and it's really a worthwhile. I've seen it.
Lovely.
I laughed, I cried. It was better than Cats.
Nice.
So she'll be here with me tomorrow, and we'll be talking about that. And of course, we'll give you all the updates as we hear them about All Ghouls Gala. So until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now.
Bye, everyone.
Don't forget, you can watch Ask Dr. Doreen live every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time. We hope to see you there.